Hey, friends, welcome back to yet another exciting episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Cranderq, a.k.a. my real name, the number one beard in all of pro wrestling podcasting. Self-proclaimed, because then no one can take it away from me. Justin, as you see, our beautiful co-host is back. Justin, the real third man, he's also my beard apprentice. Look at that beard coming in great. Now, we call him the real third man because he is the third official co-host of Friends of the Squared Circle. We had Jared. Things didn't work out. Love Jared. No heat there. As well as Jay Rich. Some stuff came up, so he had to step away. Again, no heat there, folks, because this isn't a real wrestling business. This is a fake-ass podcast. But now we have Justin. I got a thing with Jay's for co-host, apparently. But Justin, let's just kind of reintroduce you to the friends out there and kind of explain how this came about for you and a quick history of your wrestling fandom, why I sucked down the water with the gimmick cup, as I call it.
Perfect. Yeah, I wrestling fandom for me was the Attitude Era when I started watching as a kid. So and I don't think I'm being impartial here when I say that people my age were the most fortunate to have that be the start of their wrestling fandom.
Yeah,
because I think that Attitude Era, that is a step above the golden era, which I got a mixture of that old golden era as a kid, renting VHS tapes. I think there was a line of VHS tapes made about Hulkamania when I was a kid, and I was sold at the grocery store video shop where you could rent them, and I'd always get I think Hulkamania Volume 2, where you get the old end credits running with Real American playing in the background. So but yeah, I mean, it started with that Attitude Era, and then ordering a good chunk of those pay-per-views as a kid, and so those old pay-per-view memories have really stuck with me over the years, and just watching wrestling from probably I think it was 1998ish, because I've mentioned before, I think. The first wrestler, when I found wrestling on TV for the first time, the first wrestler I remember seeing was Val Venus. And I think this was
perfect timing for all those tweets coming out, huh?
Yeah, and I think it was it wasn't too long before the feud with Kai and Tai. And I know we all remember the classic
chop.
Yeah, choppy. Yeah. So I think, there's always going to be, a spot in, my fandom for Val Venus, so, but yeah, and even up to this day, I've just, the last couple of years, I've started making it to live shows and, taking in those experiences. And, but that, that made me realize that I've missed out on a lot as a kid, not making it to the live shows during the Attitude Era and
right,
like that. So, but yeah, I was fortunate enough to get involved with the show via a Mick Foley post in Cultaholic Wrestling, and got the invitation to come on this podcast, and it's been great wrestling discussions ever since.
Yeah, and we do a lot of the themed ones with you, because that was kind of going to be our shtick. Is we've come up with Roll for Wrestling, Recast, as well as Show Me the Collectibles, which we're going to be more for the Patreon exclusives, folks. If you are watching this and are not a member, I mean, it's cheap. It's just another way for people to help us get to more shows. This was supposed to be the year we just talked off camera about going to different promotions, setting up different states, different cities, so we're not seeing the same friends all the time and wearing our appearances out. But this will give us the chance to eventually travel once we do blow up. I'll be down in St. Louis with Justin. Hopefully he can come up to Minneapolis, hang out with us, and then maybe we can go see Mike D over in Detroit. Make sure you follow Wrestling from the 313 and check out his content, because we both love Mike D. And we both want to go to Detroit because I hear they got good pizza. And I know you would like a couple $2 beverages probably to go with a nice stuffed crust pizza. Or what do they got over there? Is it deep dish, pan stuff? I don't even know. I just like pizza.
Emos is the big thing around here.
Okay.
And if there's people from St. Louis that see this episode, I will say the big thing with Emos is the Provel cheese. I get a lot of heat for this at work. I am not a fan of Emos.
Oh.
He's
going to get us canceled before we even get started, folks.
Yeah.
And we'll have a new co-host with probably the letter J. Maybe we'll just have to jump into female co-hosts because it doesn't seem to be working out with these J boy names. So.
Yeah. But I'm more of a deep dish guy. So.
Yeah. If it's in front of me, I can't remember what they call it, but like that body dysplasia thing or whatever. When you see us on camera. I'm Otis thick. I'm about an Otis, you know what I mean? And we got Chad Gable to my right here. So watch out for the new Alpha Academy coming through. But that's what the Patreon is for, folks. If you sign up now, it's everybody's getting gifts, when we send them out for certain tiers, but everybody's getting that stuff now just to kind of get some more contraband out there. Yes, contraband, because it's our brand, just getting it out there so you folks can wear it, show it off, and throw it in the garbage. I don't know, but it's just to get it out there. Plus then it will entice you to unlock more in the expensive tiers of $3. But we got a lot of stuff coming up. You kind of know what's going on here, Justin. First off, we got WrestleCon coming up. Hopefully I can get some great pictures with some said wrestlers. That's July 31st through the 2nd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I will be down there. Unfortunately, we're not doing a table because we couldn't link up with somebody, and I'd rather pay $450 to mingle with wrestlers versus setting up a table. As well as Excalibur Con, which I will be attending in Duluth, Minnesota, 15th through the 16th. I will have a table there. I'll be rubbing elbows with the Honky Tonk Man, Christy Hemme, Jimmy Hart. I don't go seeking interviews with talent at shows. I try to meet friends and fans. So if you are at either one, let's do a TikTok, let's do a quick interview. And then if I'm blessed enough to, rub shoulders with an actual TV talent or former TV talent, then I'll shoot my shot. But it's more fan driven here at Friends of the Squared Circle, if you don't already know. So we're going to dive into what we're going to talk about today with Justin and I. It's what we want to see in the second half of 2026. Now, this is what we want, not what is going to happen, because, everyone loves the fantasy book. People are going to rip our comments to shreds. But if you saw our last episode of Roll with Superstar, we kind of went a different route. We didn't pick the big names. We just started thinking of what we wanted to see. And that's all it is about. It's our fandom, and if you want to come on and talk your fandom, well, you're more than welcome to come on and talk about that, except for Randy. Justin hasn't had the pleasure of dealing with Randy yet, but all of his shit is just blocked. He thinks he's the best superstar ever on this show. But Randy, if you're listening, I appreciate you, but your comments don't matter. He had 1,300 views on his first video. So he was like the champ of views because that was a little gimmick we were doing. Maybe we bring that back. But then I found out he boosted it by paying and then got mad because AEW Germany blew up their spot to 4.6. And then he accused them of buying their views as well. So we just scrapped Randy from the record books there. But Justin, what are some things that you want to see in the second half of 2026 in pro wrestling here? Like a couple things that you want to see: people winning titles, WWE coming through your neck of the woods. What would you like to see in the second half of 2026 here?
I think one thing I'm kind of in the boat with, like everybody else, is LA Knight getting more of a push and getting into that world title picture. It's, and everybody seems to be kind of saying along the same lines, like, he's got what he needs on the microphone. It's wonderful watching him in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things too. And I've seen I saw reading some of the articles and stuff about it, and some of the comments that um, he's kind of in that predicament, being the age that he is, that he can't do something like Cody did, where Cody left, went to a different promotion, boosted his stock, and then came back to WWF, and now he's getting pushed, very well. Um, I just hope we can get more LA Knight in the main event title picture.
Okay.
I feel like that'll be something that a lot of people across the board accept that and enjoy it. Another one is, and I think I'm going to go the opposite of what a lot of people might be saying or thinking on this is, I would like to see CM Punk staying in that main event
Okay.
spot that he's in. Because I think a lot of people had kind of, I don't want to say lost faith, in CM Punk, but I think after everything backstage that transpired while he was with AEW, I think that kind of maybe pushed people away a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it seems like to me, because, I remember the days, and it just hit, an anniversary of it the other day. Like, I remember, the summer of Punk all those years ago, where he's delivering the pipe bomb and feuding with John Cena, and, threatening to leave the company with the belt, that's and then he left after the Royal Rumble, and then for months people are chanting
Yep.
CM Punk in the arenas at Monday Night Raw, so to me, and to me, when that stuff happens backstage, like in this case, like with AEW, like all these guys aren't, not everybody's going to get along. Stuff happens, and I think, you get caught up in that stuff, and then, everybody's got their own story, behind everything, and somebody's always going to come out, I feel like, looking like the bad guy in those situations.
Yep.
And which is unfortunate, because, then it kind of takes away from the wrestler's aura, if you want to call it that, so I wouldn't mind seeing more, or them to continue to keep CM Punk where he's at in the company. I think right now they're projecting him to come back at the Monday Night Raw in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd love to see what happens with that when he comes back. And I think to kind of put, the opposite into the first two with LA Knight and CM Punk, I'm getting awfully tired of the tribal chief stuff.
Okay.
The MFTs, all that stuff. I mean, to me, it's just one of those things where you kind of get, you just think, great, here's, Solo Sikoa, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this that I like in the breath that I dislike these wrestlers. It's just, I think, I look at how long that storyline with all that, like with Roman on Monday nights and Solo on SmackDown, to me, it's starting to feel like the, drawn out NWO story.
Yeah,
where,
you're getting that fatigue from the consistency of it, and then once you think you're done with it, then they add someone else to kind of like pump a little life into it for a few pay-per-views, and then you're like, all right, we're back to the down where I want something else. To jump in on that CM Punk stuff, it's been great to see that resurgence, like you said. And I think one thing different could be, I'm not saying it is, but like that he has finally changed and matured, in the business aspect of it. But we also could see where could be the same, and we're just not hearing it about it every every week. Whereas AEW had all those cracks where things, if someone stepped on a crack and broke their mother's back, it was getting put out into the dirt sheets because everybody wanted to know what was going on backstage. And I'm sure people were making, any attempt they could just to get a small sniff of who was doing what wrong. And, you don't hear too much about that with AEW anymore. So maybe both have learned their lessons, AEW about letting stuff get out, as well as CM Punk finally, getting that positive role. And, people praise him all the time, and I can kind of relate. Like, a lot of people say, like, when I'm at work, I was kind of a dick because, like, well, it's my job. I take it seriously. I have an expectation that I have to meet. And if you're in my realm of where I'm supervising or being, I'm going to hold you to those standards as well. And unfortunately, you're not going to like me. But I'm hired to do a job, just like CM Punk is, to get butts in seats, put on a hell of a show, and continue that storyline. Whereas, backstage, I bet, when he's not working or has that pressure, everybody absolutely loves him. And then my core friend group, who I was in charge of, no joke, like all my friends were one step below me in their careers. And they had to listen to me at work, and then I'm this whole different person when we have game nights or we're out to eat. I'm the funny guy. I'm the one, being the weirdest guy out there. But then when you have me at work, it's like straight, make sure my shirt's buttoned, tucked in, I'm ready to rock. I can just see that being Punk, he's there to work. He's not there to F off. He's not there just for catering. He is there to take it seriously because this is his craft. And guys like Jack Perry, still new to the business, getting to travel the world, I'm not saying he's doing this. So if you clip this, don't take this part out of it, but it's just like he's out there living a young man's dream, different cities, potentially different relationships, different scenery, that he's living it up. Where CM Punk is like the veteran, like, yeah, I used to be you. I was a fuck around, and you're about to find out, kid. And sure enough, that's probably what led to that altercation. Is two different generational talents just happen to be mixing up backstage. He's the vet. Jack Perry's the young up and comer. Not necessarily green, but he's the guy that is living frugal through this. Like, this is the fun time where Punk's like, this is my last hurrah. I need to cash these checks and set myself up for the future. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? So, and I always bash on CM Punk because I don't like the character. I think he's very cocky. But that WrestleMania match with Roman Reigns was my favorite last year. Like, that was my favorite match of the whole weekend. And I was like, I like his matches. I just never got him personally. As a person, I would love to meet him, so it changes that perspective. But I haven't had that opportunity. So,
yeah, and I think I think for me it was, when I was in college and we'd get together and find the, maybe not the, what would you call it, the correct stream to watch CM Punk matches on pay-per-view. Maybe the backdoor website to find those streams. But so to me, and everybody I think has that superstar to them, where there was a time in their life where that wrestler was like really kind of made you tune in. So for me, those years in college where it was the pipe bomb, it was best in the world, it was the summer of Punk, so where I can see where people come from on like maybe the negative views or the non-favorable viewpoints on CM Punk. I can totally understand it, but that he's one of those guys, that in newer guys in the grand scheme of things for me, having watched since 1998, that I kind of was like, okay, this is a guy that I can watch every week. I look at his promo work from before when he was in WWE before AEW,
Mhm.
to me, that was the better promo work than what he has done. Not now after the trip back to WWE from AEW.
Yeah.
Not saying that it's bad promo work, but I think there was just, like looking at the pipe bomb speech on Monday Night Raw. To me that was like it was a mix of scripted and then off the cuff stuff
Mhm.
where now you just really are completely just like talking to a writer who gives you 5-10 bullet points and goes,
Yeah.
or even to the extent that like, here's everything word for word,
Yeah.
read it, add your emotion, stuff like that. So,
He's probably
but
handcuffed a little bit too on this new regime with TKO kind of, holding him back, where
yeah,
I'm sure, like we mentioned, those early days, Stone Cold had liberties, Triple H had liberties, Shawn Michaels, The
mhm,
Rock, they could say things and then be like, well, if they don't like it, oh well. Now it's a little bit more like, all right, we're kind of the big guy entertainment. We have
mhm,
to set the example, so please follow the rules. And that
yeah,
sucks because it's real stuff. Like I always remember Dusty telling Seth Rollins to sprinkle in a little realness there. So I'm sure like there was like personal beef between him and Matt Riddle
mhm,
there, so they could interject that stuff to make it feel real. Now they probably didn't get along, and that's the case. A lot of people don't get along with their coworkers. If you do, congratulations. If you don't, you know what it's like. But it helps to elevate that. I mean, look at Lita, Edge, and Matt Hardy back in the day. Like
mhm,
that stuff blew up in their face, and then next thing you know, it's on national TV. Some stuff might have been probably, uh, blown up to, push it on TV, but, we don't know. We're not there. But, uh, yeah, I will give Punk one flower. One flower is that he has been able to maintain with WWE, this last run, and he's been doing a pretty good job.
mhm,
I wouldn't say it's his peak, but he is delivering at a very high level.
mhm.
Obviously, Summer of Punk will probably be his thing, when he fought Taker and stuff at Mania, but he's doing pretty damn good work at his age there. So,
Mhm. Yeah, and
uh, go
I
ahead.
think
Sorry.
I think with another guy too that they're doing well with, that I hope the way they're writing him into the shows is Trick Williams on Friday Night
Mhm.
SmackDown. That's one right. I really hope they keep the ball rolling and with him, and that doesn't get dropped.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think I don't know. I think looking at both of the shows, I to preface my next comment on somebody coming back is it seems like the Monday Night Raw and SmackDown are kind of on two different levels as far as quality of the shows. Which I'm not
Okay.
saying one is bad and one is good. I'm saying it's and I think partly because Raw is an established show since it's been on Monday Night Wrestling since 1993.
Mhm.
Um, and SmackDown's obviously the newer show, but saying that, I hope Randy Orton does come back and they put him into a good storyline and can let him do his thing on Friday nights. Because I like the hometown guys, so I may have a
Mhm.
soft spot for Randy Orton, but
I love Randy.
but I just think they let him come back and give him all the reins to do what he wants on Friday nights. I know there's obviously, like you said a little bit ago, with the world we live in, there's restrictions on
Give me
on
some Viper just kicking everybody in the head and just no
yeah,
one's safe. No one's safe. Give him a couple more lackeys. Give me another Legacy 2.0, or something, not necessarily the same stable, but like give him two young guys just to like, you know, I mean, that Viper 2008, holy cow, man, like just, RKOing, punching everybody, handcuffing people there, so they had to watch it. I mean, come on, like bring that man back with just a ruthless vengeance. Spit some venom on man. It'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think back in April when SmackDown was in St. Louis and seeing him live in person for the first time, he came out to start the show, and that was around that time that they had Pat McAfee involved and everything with him. You're getting Randy really doing a great interview on TV, which I think is most of them.
Yeah.
It's live. It's completely knocked up several notches. To me, that was like, wow, what a way to start the show. Here's Randy. You feel it even more in live in the audience than you do at home. But I mean, not taking away what you feel watching him on TV give those kind of interviews, because it's still
right.
He still, I think, really has that drawability when he's doing them on TV and stuff. But yeah, I think I'm hoping that he comes back, something good. They get something good rolling right away as soon as he's back, and I think that'll be another good one that when he comes back, that they shouldn't have any problems keeping the ball rolling.
Definitely. And there's so much talent for him to work with when he comes back. Especially like you said, Trick Williams. You've got Sami Zayn rolling around there now with a title. You've got hopefully Carmelo Hayes getting back into swing of things. I'd love to see Alpha Academy start doing some more, or finally let Otis out of the tag team and see what he could do as more like a Mark Henry. Let him go with that solo. See if he can stand on his 2 feet. One thing I would love to see, and I'm going to clip this, is that I'd love to see the New Day go to AEW. Okay, it doesn't have to be long. Just get in there, wrestle a few people, do the Forbidden Doors, do the heck's their big other pay per view.
Slammiversary, or not Slammiversary, that's TNA. Redemption's one that's coming up for him here at the end.
Yeah, I can't think of the other one. Anywho, but yeah, I'd love to see them just go in there, do a couple things, work a few guys, and then head over to Japan. And it'd be so great if they could get Big E to be with them, and just him in a manager role, and then just make them the 2 Americans just doing their thing. It would definitely put more eyes on them. So when they do get that return for their final run in WWE, I think it would just push them even more to the moon, because they are one of the best tag teams, that ever came through. Them and the Usos. I know people say the Steiners, they stay the Road Warriors, but I mean, sorry, I love a good New Day match. It's always fun. Their teamwork is just unmatched. The Road Warriors are just more beat them up, take them out, where I feel like New Day was more methodical and strategic. And who doesn't love good pancakes being thrown into the crowd? You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Probably not Vince Russo or Jim Cornette or Eric Bischoff, but you know what? Times are changing, folks. But before we wrap it up here, what do you have coming up next? And then what are you excited for here? And then we'll plug our sponsors here and then wrap this up.
Hopefully, for myself coming up, I'm just hoping to get to, we talked about it earlier, there's a different promotion out of Missouri that I found, Mid-Missouri Wrestling Association. So I'm hopefully going to start getting to their shows to see what that's like. But really, I'm just trying to plan on getting to more of those live shows, the independent stuff. Because as the younger days, it's like, of the independent circuits and stuff, and that's how these wrestlers, hone their craft and stuff. But, being to the big promotion shows and then those independent shows now live, it's really a cool feeling to get in there and see the independent shows, because it's like at the big shows like on SmackDown back in
Yep.
April versus something like Glory Pro here in St. Louis, you get you get wrestling fans at both, but I feel like those independent shows, I found that what I really like, and as far as what I feel, the feeling I kind of get is you get those people at those independent shows, like they are the people that are really committed to that local
Mhm.
wrestling, and so I feel like those are the people that are like, hey, we got to support this, like, and are really coming to watch these certain independent wrestlers just as much as they would watch
Mhm.
going to shows like Raw or SmackDown to watch wrestlers on there.
Yep.
So it's a really cool feeling. So yeah, I'm going to try and uh, let these independent promotions pull me in a little bit more, over the summer and going forward
Yep.
and stuff. So, like I said, I've been fortunate to find wrestlers on these independent circuits that I'm at the point now where it's like, the last episode I mentioned Bruce Hamilton. I'm like
Mhm.
that had I know he's one of those guys I've seen on the independent circuit that I think a month or two ago, I think maybe a month ago, he had a show in Nashville, Tennessee. I believe that promotion was, I think it was Pro Wrestling Symphony, I think was the name of the
Okay.
promotion. But it's like, now I'm kind of like, if I see him or somebody like Blair Onyx traveling somewhere that's, doesn't take, 10 hours to drive to, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I can jump on that and go see them and support another small promotion. And,
Right.
in the region around here, like Tennessee, Kentucky, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's just kind of expanding the range of, independent shows and being able to get out and enjoy those more.
And definitely making new friends.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
mean,
Yeah,
we got
hopefully.
Stanley Kerr wrestling with Hart in Tennessee, and then we've got Tel 5 Wrestling and the Joe Monroe Show, as well as the Rated R podcast, all in Kentucky. Our boy Stud Muffin Supreme running that one. So like that's the beautiful thing is like, I mean, you're down there, I'm all the way up here. Jordan was in the cities. Like we've got the South Dakotas with Amanda. We've got the Maryland and Maine area from Taylor and Meg. I mean, we got friends everywhere. You know what I mean? So like, and that's what's going to be exciting is if we can get out there and get to these promotions so we can meet all of our friends. Great way to support that, folks, is checking out our Patreon. Sign up for $1. If we can get 20 people to do $1, that's $20 a month. That's going to help for travel, stickers, vendor tables, so we can come and meet you and start doing some giveaways here. No one has commented since on our last giveaway. We'll digress into that a little more off episode here. But give a huge shout out to Inside Out Nutrition. You get all your healthy teas and shakes from our sponsor there out of Solon Springs, Wisconsin, as well as Superior Creations, all your custom tumbler needs. We still got to get Justin one of those, which reminds me. And last but not least, the loudmouth mercenary himself, Darren Corbin, sponsors this podcast. That's right. Follow him on all social medias at Darren Corbin. You can join his Patreon, which is probably a lot better than ours, has more content every day. His tier started at just $1. I always recommend the 8x10 tier, where bi-monthly you get a new 8x10 of Darren Corbin. And then you could probably surpass me in the leaderboard of the most Darren Corbin 8x10s. I probably have over 20. So I challenge anyone to take that bet on. But it's been your boy, Cranderq. Justin, have you worked on an outro yet?
One that just came to mind. This podcast was paid for by the New World Order.
That's right. And it's your boy, Cranderq. Cranderq out. And then I can never find the in button. I think people enjoy that I just struggle to find. There it goes.